Assalamualaikum.
I hope we are all good. So today we are going to be moving on to week 7, and this is just in preparation for Eid, Eid coming soon on I think on Friday, as tentative. I think on Friday confirmed, yeah. And we know many of us are going to travel, deal with our family, having people around, and all extended family for those that will go out to family members' house, and for the wives that will be going to their husband's family's house, the husbands that will be going back to their home. For everyone here, it's just, and this is just to be an avenue for us to be able to learn some certain things when it comes to dealing with people uh, as regard a relationship, either relationship with your husband, relationship with your husband's family, your in-laws, relationship with cousins, relationship with aunties, and as the case may be. So facilitator, today our facilitator in person of Brother Abdulfattah Popoola is a child and youth mentor, a certified Islamic educationist, a trained Islamic psychologist and counselor, counselor at Al-Balag Academy in UK, a certified neuro-linguistic programming practitioner, and alumni of International Institute of Islamic Thought, a parent, coach, and founder of Muslim Associated with Parenting, a prolific writer and author of several parenting and mentoring guides, a speaker with record of on-air presentation on TV and radio stations, an Islamic researcher, content developer, and homeschooling dad. He is the founder and director of MAP Mentoring, an Islamic mentoring and life coaching platform for Muslims. Please let's use our reaction to welcome our speaker for tonight, this evening, Abdulfattah Popoola. Salam alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, sir.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
You have the floor, sir.
Azbillah min ash-shaytanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalam ala rasulil kareem. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for his mercy and blessings upon us. And we beseech his mercy and blessings upon the noble soul of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I welcome you all once again. After having our session last week, and we thank Allah that we are here today to continue. So today, as we are, today, as we are all aware, the topic is emotional intelligence in relationships. And under this topic, we shall be looking at other subtopics such as characteristics of healthy and toxic relationship, emotional boundaries, and handling criticism and rejection. So we're going to look at these three subtopics under this major topic, emotional intelligence in relationship. Okay, so let's start. Yeah, when you say emotional intelligence, this is a topic. I mean, this is a term that we have been hammering on for some weeks now. And last week when I had a session with us, I made us understand that emotional intelligence is something that we all need to maintain relationships with ourselves, I mean our personal self, with people around us, relationship with other human beings, and with our creator as well. Yes, it requires emotional intelligence for us to have a good relationship with our creator. Because emotional intelligence, when it comes to an aspect of relating with our creator, it helps us cultivate what we call spiritual intelligence. Yeah, there's also what we call spiritual intelligence. That is when you are aware of the divine. You are aware of the presence of your creator in your life. You are aware of the trends of your life in respect to how you relate with your creator. You are aware of your beliefs and your suppositions. Yeah, that is what we refer to as spiritual intelligence. Sometimes some people, when they are going somewhere and they bump their foot, like they hit their foot, their thumb, uh they hit their fingers, or their toe, sorry. They hit their toe on a stone or something. There's something comes to their mind. Oh, this place that I'm going will be bad if they are hitting their left toe on a stone. These are, uh, uh, superstitious belief, but that have turned to a kind of spiritual connection between them and whatever happened to them, between them and their creator. So, and in some cases, you are aware of the fact that anytime, in fact, I know somebody that anytime he has problems, what he does is to fast. Just fast. That is all he does. He would fast. And surprisingly, anytime he fasts, he observes the fast maybe a day or two or three, that problem will be solved. That challenge, it will come over, that will overcome that challenge. That is also a spiritual awareness of his own relationship with his creator. He knows that, oh, when I do this, when I call Allah, when I call my creator to help me by doing this, he's going to answer me. And so that is not what we are actually discussing today. I'm just trying to explain how much emotional intelligence is needed in our lives, how much we need to understand emotional intelligence. Now, in relationships among ourselves, definitely we need emotional intelligence. In fact, that is where we need it most. Because see, our relationship with our creator is is um is simpler. Let me put it that way. It's much more simpler than a relationship with other people. Yes, because Allah forgives. He said he is Ghafur Rahim. He forgives and he is merciful. So if we offend him, he forgives us, he overlooks. Sometimes he even erases that thing away. He erased that mistake or misdeed or wrong. He erases it away. Like he said that he is a full one. A full one. And that is the prayer we used to say during Ramadan, we Muslims, that Allahumma innaka afuwun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anni. Afu, that afu, the term afu actually means that Allah erases that mistake, every mistake that you've done. But relationship with human being, even after somebody might have forgiven you, he or she might not forget. So relationship with a human being is very, very complex and complicated. So we need emotional intelligence and the guidance of our creator to be able to maneuver around that relationship. Now, we already know that emotional intelligence requires, it entails self-awareness, social awareness, self-awareness and social awareness. Yeah, there are four things: self-awareness, social awareness, self-regulation, and relationship management. These are the four elements of emotional intelligence. That is self-awareness. You are aware of yourself. You are aware of your personality. You are aware of the kind of trait you have. There are a lot of traits that we have that these traits are not necessarily bad. And people make a lot of mistake by attaching their wrong deeds or their evil deeds or their negative actions with their personality. You hear something like, "Shebi, now. I get angry quickly." It's a trait in you that you can't do anything about. I mean, that you can't do anything, you can't remove it. You came to this world and found yourself to be somebody, to be the type that gets angry quickly. You can't do anything about the origin of that. It is Allah that put it in you. Then what do? You manage it. And that's what we refer to as self-regulation. Self-awareness, self-regulation. So after you are aware of your trait, your personality, see the fact that you are harsh, maybe by nature you are the type that is very harsh. You are a no-nonsense person. People always tell you that Umo, you are very harsh. Abu, you are this, you are very harsh. That harshness is not bad. It's a trait in you that you can't do anything to remove. But how do you regulate it? That is what emotional intelligence has come to help you with. How do you regulate that emotion? But you can't regulate what you don't know. That is why you have to be aware of yourself, self-awareness. I believe that during the course of this study, during the course of these presentations and lectures that have been going on for the past 6 weeks, we have been taught the kind of self that we have: the blind self, the hidden self, the known self, and the unknown self. I might touch on that when I get to other subtopic of this my presentation. So that harshness, that you are harsh, is not bad. How do you regulate it? You came to this world and you find yourself to be that way. Sometimes you are the gentle type. You are too gentle. And it pains you. It pains you at times that people take advantage of your gentleness. They take advantage of your leniency. Yes, they ride on that. And many times they cheat you. And it pains you. But there's nothing you can do about it. You can't remove that gentle. Anytime you want to force yourself to behave the way you are not wired, the way you have not been fashioned, you will always have a problem. Yeah. So that gentleness may be a problem for you, but it is not bad. It is not something bad. It is what you have to regulate. And that is when you need understanding of topics like boundaries. How to set boundaries, which we are still going to talk about. So if you are the harsh type, you need to regulate it. You need to regulate it. So yes, there are some times that you need to be harsh, and that's that there are sometimes that you need to dilute it, you need to water it down, and that is all about emotional intelligence. When you have it, you have a lot of things. And many times when I read the Quran, and I want to believe that many of us on this platform are Muslims. So I'll be saying a lot of using a lot of Islamic terms and references from Quran and Hadith. So if there's non-Muslim among my audience, please, I'm very, very sorry. It's not out of disrespect for your opinion and your beliefs, but it's just this is the way I talk, and this is how best I can explain myself. So just follow on, please. So when I read the Quran and I come across verses of the Quran where Allah talks about wisdom. There's a verse. There are many verses, but there's a verse. Allah said, وَمَا يُؤْتَى الْحِكْمَةَ فَقَدْ أُوتِيَ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. That whoever I have given wisdom to, I have given the person the greatest of goodness. I have given the person abundance of goodness. Whoever وَمَنْ أُوتِيَ الْحِكْمَةَ وَمَنْ أُوتِيَ الْحِكْمَةَ فَقَدْ أُوتِيَ. Whoever has been given wisdom by Allah has been given abundant goodness. Wow. And when I also check the Quran, where Allah is referring to each of his prophets that he has sent to this world, anytime he talks about them, telling us about the knowledge he has given to them, he talks about the wisdom too. And he puts the wisdom first. So, وَقَدْ آتَيْنَا لُوطًا حِكْمَةً. Allah talked about Prophet Lut, and he said, we gave him wisdom. When Allah talked about Prophet Musa, he said he gave him hikmatan wa ilman, wisdom and knowledge. In the case of Prophet Ibrahim, Allah said he gave him wisdom. In fact, Prophet Ibrahim made it a prayer. He said, Rabbi habli hukman wa alhikni bisalihin. Oh Allah, habli bestow on me wisdom. Bestow wisdom on me. And join me together with the righteous people. You can see that wisdom is one of the greatest goodness that Allah can give any of his creature. And now when I try to break down the meaning of wisdom, is a very wide topic. Because it's something great. And that is why Allah referred to it as khairon kathiron, abundant goodness. If you have wisdom, wallahi, you are rich. You have abundance. It's not about your savings or your bank account. You have abundant goodness. Because with that wisdom, you can achieve a lot of things that many people will not achieve in this world, and you'll be happy. So when Allah talked about those prophets, He said He gave them wisdom. He mentioned wisdom before knowledge. So when I break down the meaning of wisdom to people, I always try to break it down and explain it in the scope of emotional intelligence. The awareness of yourself, self-awareness. The awareness of other people, of the emotions of other people, which is social awareness. Then how do you use that understanding of your own emotions and the emotion of other people to manage the relationship between you and them, which we refer to as self-regulation and relationship management. So if you are emotionally intelligent, you find your way through a lot of troubles and problems. You know when somebody is, because it is about you knowing what to do, what to say, not only what to say at the right time, how to act, how to react, and not just about you acting or reacting, but acting in accordance to the situation on ground, acting appropriately in response to the situation on ground. Emotional intelligence is about you responding, not reacting. Yes, it's about you responding, not reacting. It's about you knowing what to do at the right time, doing the right thing at the right time, saying the right thing at the right time. If you want to react, yes, if there's a need for you to react, reacting in a way that passes message and brings about change, or brings positive change, or brings about correction or amendment in relationships. So there's a lot you can talk about in emotional intelligence, and I always equate it to wisdom. So we always need to pray to Allah to give us wisdom. That's how we can manage our relationships. And emotional intelligence helps you to be smart. You become very smart. You understand people's emotion and how you can quickly maneuver. Even at time of difficulty or times of big problems, troubles, you know what to say and what to quickly do. Let me give us an example. When the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was embarking on his journey to Medina, the migration from Mecca to Medina. Again, I'm sorry. Do I have any non-Muslim in this class? If there's any non-Muslim, can you please raise your hand? Can you use the raise hand button or chat message to just mention that you are a non-Muslim, if there's any? So while I continue what I'm saying, so the Prophet Islam was embarking on his journey to Medina. He and his one of his Sahaba, Abu Bakr. So when they got to a particular, because there was an announcement that Muhammad and some of his companions are running away out of Mecca. So if anybody should find them, they should kill them. And in fact, the Quraysh have stationed some youth at the exit road from Mecca. They have stationed some youth there on all the roads that leads to Mecca and leads out of Mecca, so that anywhere Muhammad Sallallahu want to pass through, then they can easily catch him and deal with him there and then. So he was moving with Abu Bakr. Abu Bakr sometimes will be at the front and sometimes we stay at the back, hoping that no evil will before the Prophet from the front or from behind. So when they got to a particular point where the particular road leads outside Mecca. So when they go to that particular junction, then the youth they stop them. They said, "Who are you?" Remember, many of these youths don't even know who the Prophet is. who he was. They don't know him for who he was. I mean, his physical appearance. So, and many of them, because they are very young, they also don't know who Abubakar is. They don't know who Abubakar is for sure. So they ask, who are you? Abubakar realized that, oh, this is danger. This is danger. This is problem. If I tell them my name and that this is Muhammad, then we are done. So he quickly used his wisdom, emotional intelligence. He realized that this is a problem. What can I say? So he told them, okay, Ana Abdullah bin Qahafa. I am Abdullah bin Qahafa. He didn't say I am Abu Bakr. You see, Abu Bakr is the kunya. When you say kunya, kunya is like alias. It's like another name for. It's not the real name for Abu Bakr. It's like alias. So when you say, maybe you say, okay, brother Fattah Popoola alias Prof or alias Coach, something like that. So that is the name they call him. Abu Bakr is the name they call him, which means the father of the Virgin Lady. But his real name is Abdullah bin Qahafa. So he mentioned his real name to those people because he understood, he knew that none of them knows him by his real name. Can you see emotional intelligence? So this is wisdom, pure wisdom. So he said, Ana Abdullah bin Qahafa. Then those guys said, oh, Abdullah bin Qahafa, Abdullah bin Qahafa. We don't know anyone by that name. Because those who will know that name are people who are of the same age range with Abu Bakr. So many of these youngsters don't even know his real name for that. So they said, okay, who is the man with you? He said, Rajulun Yahadini. Who are Rajulun Yahadini? A man that is guiding me. I said, okay. So those guys thought that Abu Bakr was referring to Muhammad as his guide, meaning someone who is guiding him on the route out of Mecca. So they said, okay, both of you can go. It was after they've gone very, very far away from Mecca that another announcement came to them that Muhammad and Abu Bakr they both passed through that route. And it was then they realized that, oh, was it not that man that called himself Abdullah bin Qahafa? And before they realized, Islam was already in Medina. So now, what I'm trying to pass from this short story is the importance of emotional intelligence, knowing what to say, how to act. Is so important for us to know, to have this emotional intelligence. And it will help us in times of trouble, because it is not about, because relationship, sometimes it is not even, when we say LD and Thursday, we are going to that. But sometimes it is even outside that. It is within this, you can use emotional intelligence within the scope of danger. I'm just trying to explain how much we need it. Even for our children, to those of us that have children, your child needs to be emotionally intelligent. There are kidnappers in our society today. There are people who are evildoers. They are ritualists. People whom you would not even detect, who don't have even just a sign of evil in them. But when they want to take action, or when they start to take some action, your emotional intelligence, your wisdom will help you to be able to know the kind of person he or she is, and what to do and how to react. So now let's take the topic of the emotional intelligence relationships. Let's take it one after the other. We start with LD versus toxic relationship. We all understood. Let me not assume, but it is expected that we all have an idea of what LD relationship means. So it's a relationship that is emotionally regulated. Yes, LD relationship is a relationship that is emotionally regulated. And why do I say emotionally regulated? See, there is no perfect relationship. You have to work for a relationship to work. You work for a relationship to work out. Yeah. So, and what you need is emotional regulation. There are no two perfect friends. That in fact, they are best of friends. Won't understand that. No, there's not like one understand that. They only try to regulate their emotions. Mr. A and Mr. B understood the emotions of one another and they regulate it. They regulate the relationship based on the understanding of that emotion. That is what leads to a healthy relationship. So, and because it is emotionally regulated, there's empathy. There's empathy, there's mutual respect. Yes, because of that, because of the emotional regulation in that relationship. And so it makes it healthy. And when you say healthy, it means something that is full of life. Yeah. A relationship that is healthy is full of life, is full of peace, is full of calmness. Yes, there's calm. When you are together with somebody whom you have healthy relationship with, you feel calm. You feel calm, you feel respected, you feel vulnerable. Vulnerable in the sense that you can you feel safe with that person. That is a healthy relationship. But when it is the opposite of that, when you are around that person, you don't feel calm at all. You feel tensed. Tensed as in tension. Tension overcomes you. Tension overcomes you, and you don't feel respected. Then that is a toxic relationship. It's a toxic relationship. Because in the case of healthy relationship where it is emotionally regulated, toxic relationships are emotionally manipulated. There's a lot of manipulations that go on in toxic relationship. Because it's not about toxic relationship doesn't entail working together to make it work. Working together to make relationship work. No. It's about winning over another person, subduing the other person, taking the other person as a slave, creating a gap, a master servant gap, and every negative thing you can think of, such as lack of empathy. Yes, you find it in toxic relationship. No empathy. Àwọn èèyàn ní fi wọn ní fi ọ̀rọ̀ ṣírò ara wọn nínú toxic relationship. No, they will not put themselves into other people's shoe. No. So, and there's a very, very poor communication in toxic relationship. Remember we talked about effective communication last week. So there is ineffective communication in a toxic relationship. So characteristics of toxic relationship and healthy relationship are the list is very long. For instance, in healthy relationship, there's openness and there's honesty. But in toxic relationship, there's manipulation. Gaskiya, manipulating one another. There's a lot of politics that go on in toxic relationships. And as I'm speaking, you can begin to imagine those kind of relationship you have with some people. It could be between partners, between spouses. It could be between in-laws. It could be between friends. It could be, you can begin to imagine and view it in the context of your own reality. The healthy relationships you have and the toxic relationships you have. What are the features? As I'm saying some of these characteristics, you can begin to put it there where it belongs. A relationship where you have openness, you have honesty, is healthy. But where there is manipulation, Gaskiya is toxic. A relationship where there is mutual respect, there is support. I'm not saying the healthy relationship is perfect. No, it is not perfect, like I said the other time. But it is emotionally regulated in the sense that you are emotionally aware of the needs in that relationship. When I say mutual respect, for instance, as one of the characteristics of healthy relationship, what I mean here is that you respect, they said respect is reciprocal. You respect somebody and you expect the person to respect you. So healthy relationship is mutual. The benefit is mutual and the support is mutual. You support the other person supports you. So it is not parasitic. Toxic relationship is parasitic. Parasitic, as in parasites. People in that relationship, most of them are parasites. They want to gain from you, but they don't want you to gain from them. They want you to respect them, but they don't want you to respect you. They want to have dominance over you. They don't want you to have control over them. They want you to support them. They don't want to support you. In healthy relationship, you have emotional safety and boundaries. And this one, I'll leave this for the next topic, for the next subtopic, boundaries. In healthy relationship, you find boundaries. Yes, safe boundaries, emotional safety, and safe boundaries. When I say safe boundaries, and this is what even explain further that healthy relationships are not always perfect too. It is because these two people have decided to make it work, and that is why it is healthy. How? By creating safe boundaries, in the sense that you both know my do's and don'ts, and I know your do's and don'ts, and that is it. That is our boundaries. So, for instance, in a marriage, if one of the boundaries is that for a husband, for instance, one of his boundaries is that you don't check his phone. That is a boundary. Yes, and if as a wife, don't take that as a big deal. It is his boundary. Sometimes men would have to keep some things away from their wives, and it is in fact for the goodness of that wife. Yes. So if you're not checking his phone, checking his messages is a boundary, then don't go there. And of course, you also have your boundaries too as a wife. So respecting that boundaries is what will make a relationship healthy. So if he has call, you take his phone to him. If he has messages, you let him know he has a message. You don't click on that message to read it before he reads his message. It's respect. It's a safe boundary. And when you do that to a man, to your husband, or to you, in a marital setting now, I'm talking about marital setting. So when a woman does that to a man, the man is also expected to respect the boundary of that woman too. Our boundary could be that there are certain time when she doesn't want to have talk with anybody, when she doesn't want to, even at times may go on to, it may extend to the issue of intimacy. There are times that she doesn't want to have that intimacy. That's a boundary which the husband should respect as well. But it requires a lot of understanding, because a lot of people hide under the guise of religion and just provoke themselves, provoke their spouses, and create problems. So you can begin to understand, but this I'll talk about boundaries better in this next subtopic. But in toxic relationship, there is no safe boundary. What you have is blame game. Blame game. It is you. You say, why do you have to check my phone? It is blame? Just blame one another. Frequent blame game and silent treatment. Remember, we talked about the power of silence last week, where we're talking about how you handle difficult conversation. Handling difficult conversation. And we made mention of 2 key points, things that you can do. Number 1 is always say the truth. When a conversation is becoming difficult, say the truth. And second is remain silent. Remain silent. Don't argue. Don't run your mouth. Just remain silent. You put the other person in a position to rethink whatever they are doing or whatever they want to say with your silence. But don't mistake that for what happens in toxic relationship. Because what happens in toxic relationship is silent treatment as a punishment. Silence as a tool of punishment. So you estrange yourself, just become like strangers. So which is not good. Then another characteristic which I will use to round up this subtopic of LD versus toxic relationship is trust. There is trust in a healthy relationship, and there's accountability. Why is there trust? Because there's accountability. Accountability is we calling ourselves to account, checking on ourselves if we are doing the right thing. That is one of the things that makes a relationship healthy. Checking on ourselves to ensure that we are doing the right thing. We are accounting ourselves. We are accountable to ourselves. and that builds trust. But in toxic relationship, there's no trust. Lying and emotional blackmailing, gaslighting ourselves. These are the features of toxic relationship. When there is no trust and we try to emotionally blackmail ourselves, like trying to there are some instances in some relationship whereby the other part, somebody knows that the other person has a kind of maybe a personality that is a personality that is weak, kind of in one or two aspects, and they begin to blackmail that person based on that. For instance, if you are the type that don't talk, it's your own trait, it's your own personality. You are not the talkative, like me. So you don't talk. So because you don't talk, I mean, it's not as if you don't talk, but you are not the type, major role. Let me put that way. You don't know how to like recount events, how it happened, who were there, who were part of the event, how it's turned out to. You don't have that energy to do that. And because of that, the other person, knowing that you are weak in that aspect, will now try to outdo you in reporting, in recounting what has happened. It's an emotional blackmail, trying to make you look as if you are the guilty one, trying to make you look as if you are the one at fault. All because you could not talk, or you're just crying. Yes, there are some people like that, they just start crying. Kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀? Òun ló jàre o. Kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀? Á kàn máa sunkún ni. So when that happens and somebody is trying to blackmail you based on that your emotion, that is a toxic relationship. So I don't need to dwell too much on this. We all understand what it means from this little point, and we begin to imagine the kind of relationships we also have. And emotionally intelligent people avoid toxic relationships. Yes, avoid it. Always avoid it. They said prevention is better than cure. When you are healthy, you have life, you are good, you can go here and there, you have energy to do what you want to do. But when you are sick, toxic relationship, I can equate it to like disease or illness. When you are sick, what do you need? You need to treat it, right? You need treatment, Abi. Yes, you can treat some sickness and it will go. You use anti-malaria for malaria, and by Allah's mercy, it may go. But there are some diseases that don't go. There are some diseases that stay. We don't know that disease. Yes, understand people in that aspect. Understand people's attitude, behaviors, in that aspect, that this person is having a disease, that a lifetime disease, something like that. Yes. That Taban treats a only malo. So if you are in a relationship with that kind of person and you have the permission, or you have the opportunity to avoid that person, it's good to avoid, because prevention is better than cure. Because when you go deeper into that relationship, you regret it. But if you're already in that relationship, maybe relationship between you and your spouse, you and your child, you and your colleague at work, you and your mother-in-laws, your father-in-laws, you people that you cannot run away from, you are bound to be together as Allah has destined. Then what you need is emotional boundaries. And that is the second subtopic we want to talk about, emotional boundaries. Now, so when you say boundary, we are not talking about walls. We're not talking about border. We're actually talking about we are talking about some barriers. Barriers that you put around yourself so that people can respect you, so people can take you for who you are, so people can treat you like a human being. So there are limits. Emotional boundaries are limits that we set to protect our mental health, to protect our well-being. Limits, yes. Understand it in that aspect, limits. There are limits to what people can do to you, and there are limits to what you can do to other people. If you are discussing with anyone and the person starts to talk about some things that trigger, some memories in you, it is, and that it means that person is getting to the limits of what you can take. It's better to stop that person immediately, or let that person to be aware before starting the discussion. So the limits of what you can take and what you can do, and here, because you want to set a limit, then you need three things. Number one is that learn to say no. Always learn to say no. In fact, the ability to say no it shows that you're emotionally intelligent. And you say it without aggression. Yes, without rudeness. You say politely, you make it point blank. You make it clear to the other person politely. And when I say saying no, it doesn't mean that you have to say it like a word, like no, no. It could be with your action, by your action. So if you are in a place and they want to disrespect you, especially when it is the first instance, a first time situation, and people want to disrespect you, some people want to disrespect you, don't take it. The day you take it, that okay, because they are my husband relatives, or because she's my mother-in-law, the day you take it, it is the day you have accepted. It is the day you have accepted them to always, you have given them the opportunity for them to always do that to you. To always disrespect you. Don't take it. Learn to say no, either by your word or action. That no, you don't take this. And you too, whatever you don't take, don't do it to others, because that is what will justify the boundary you are setting. So, and a lot of people have problem today because of this, ability not to say no. In fact, it's a disability if you cannot say no. So, for instance, there's a workload on you. I mean, your boss at work is trying to put a lot of workload on you, because they saw that, oh, this person is active, is dedicated, is committed. This person can work, is a go-getter. And because of that, they start pushing responsibility to you. The jobs that they are supposed to, that others are supposed to do, but because you are the most dedicated among the workforce, they are pushing it to you without further compensation. They are not compensating you for that, but they are pushing it to you. And it's not even your job description. Learn to say no. Don't take it. Yes. And what always make us to accept, what always make us accept is the fear of the unknown. That if I say I don't want to do this now, they will sack me. They will sack me. They will give me a sack letter and I will not get another job. It's a lie. You are just lying to yourself. Because look at this. Now, the worst case scenario, you are sacked from that job, but you have peace of mind that you have a change of thought, and you have a renewed thought to go for another job, or to go for another profession, or go for a business or whatever. Is it not better for you that you are out of that job in peace of mind, that you are in that job working under pressure, under workload, hating yourself for it, losing your passion and interest while serving the interest of another person? Which one is preferable? And that job you are doing is not as if it will make you rich tomorrow. It's just to keep you going and keep you survive. So why do you now have to disrespect yourself for others, making it easy for others to disrespect you by not saying no? The same thing in relationships with people around us. These people around us. So sometimes it could not, like I said, it's not necessary that it comes out of our word, out of our mouth, that no, I'm not. It could be action. Like, sometimes you can even fake it. You can pretend just to make a point. You can pretend, you can fake it for that person to know that this thing is not something you are into. You don't like it. Yes. So and there's this problem that if you don't want to share another person, a máa ṣẹra wa. A gbọ́dọ̀ ní pé torí àbẹ́ ṣẹ̀yàn ká wá ṣẹra wa. Because when you offend yourself, you have yourself to blame. You develop what you call self-blame. Self-blame leads to self-regret, and it leads to sadness and sorrow. You won't be happy. So you need to learn to say no. Another key point you need to set your boundary is to respect other people's boundaries. Gaskiya, if they have boundaries, respect it. That is a weapon for you as well. There's somebody that don't like you calling him or her at some time of the day. I don't like you calling me at this time. There will be a day that person will call you. You to ask, sir, but time man busy. This is a busy time for me. Bye. Respect his own boundary. Don't call him at that time and say, "Ojo to ba pe one wa funny boundary." So I come out anytime by. That is how to step yourself up and to be at par with other people's boundaries as well. Because respecting other people's boundary doesn't mean that you should let down your own guards too. No, set your own boundaries too. Now, the third key point that we need is that, and this is something that a lot of people get wrong when we're talking about boundaries. And it is about creating distance. No, boundary is not about distance. It's not about distance. It's about respect. Yes. Be very polite. Be very polite. Even when you want to say no, or you want to set your boundaries, be polite with it. Politeness is something you need in your boundary setting. It is what will make other people to see you truly that this is a no-go area for this person. They won't term it as that you are arrogant or you are too boastful. Kí ló lọ́rùn lè ṣe? Ṣáwọn ìyàwó yòókù ṣé wọ́n máa ṣe ni? Gbogbo lọ́wọ́ à ń di ẹran yẹn tí wọ́n jọ ń ṣe. Ó ṣe lè máa ní pé wò mọ ẹran, wò mọ ìfun ẹran, wò mọ táńkókó. Because yes, that is the headache that is coming right now. In some days in some days now, you have the headache of doing the ram, doing this and that. And do you know what intelligent people are doing now? Emotionally intelligent people, because this issue of ìyàwó ilé olóbìnrin ilé àmàpẹran àmàṣiṣẹ́ látàárọ̀ títí di alẹ́ wọn, the women are all just out of the Eid merriment. But it gets me. In fact, I'm always sad. I always sympathize with these sisters. Wallahi. The wives that have come to the wife followed you to your hometown to celebrate Eid. Yes, hometown, for instance, to celebrate Eid. So to enjoy, to have fun, to catch fun. But no, you have brought this woman to you all the way from Lagos to your hometown, to come and do slave for all the Yawole and other women and all the in-laws and all that. Oluma wa ni di ẹran látàárọ̀ títí lè àbíṣú. No. If you are in that shoe, you need to set boundary this year. Yes, set boundary this year. That no. You can only work from morning. Yes, after Eid, you can only work for 2 hours. But you can work for 2 hours. After 2 hours, just say you are tired. You can't continue again. Like I said, you can even pretend or fake it. Do it this year. Next year, you share 2 hours. Next year, let them give you as alapake. So that you have time for your own self too. To enjoy and do a tour of your husband's hometown. Enjoy fresh air. Enjoy fresh food. You are not bodun jade. Go and greet all your babokos. Yes. And you know what some people do? They will have been saving before the day of Eid. There are some sisters I know, one or two of them, they'll be saving now. About the day about when they get there, they just look around. Please, where is the nearest Olopo's shop in this area? They just hire somebody and pay the person. Pay the person. All those Iloke, you pay somebody 10,000, the person will cook for you from morning to night. Yes, you even be the one supervising and directing and controlling. What are you doing? You are forcing. You are making people to see the need for them to respect you also as a wife, as a human being too, as a person who has all the rights to enjoy herself, to enjoy her Eid. I hope you get it. So setting that boundary needs to be polite. You don't have to like turn into a fight. No, you don't have to turn into a fight. It has to be polite. So but we need to understand something that there's a question of why people struggle with setting boundaries. Some people struggle with boundaries, setting boundaries. Sorry. Sorry, please, just a second. I need to quickly.
Okay, so I hope we have been listening to the things he has been saying. You can see why it is important for us to have this session before we all travel for Ilea. I hope we are all learning one or two things now. Are we?
Yes, we
Hello.
are.
Yes, we
Right.
are. Brother.
So for our mothers in the house, I don't even know if there are men in this session because already power, you know, are there men in this session? We have men here. Ah, like now only me be man for this place. Now wow, this is what we are talking about now. This is it. So I would just I believe you probably
I
would
think I,
mention it.
I think some of them took permission. They have a kind of class or something. We have men,
Okay,
but some of them are not around.
okay. So for the women that are here, that you are married and you know you would most likely travel and all those things will happen. So it's a way for you to find a way to talk to your husband about it. Like our speaker said. Okay, so are you back?
Yes, yes.
You can continue, sir. You can continue, sir.
Okay. So I quickly had to respond to an urgent message. Okay, so now why do some people struggle with setting boundaries? I've mentioned some of the reasons. Fear of unknown. Like, if I say I don't want to do it now, they will say I'm too proud, I'm arrogant. So it's better people start to see you the way they want to see you now, and later on understand and take it as your reality, than for you to oppress yourself because you want to please other people and remain perpetually sad, hoping that one day it will change and that day may never come. So now fear of the unknown make people to struggle with setting boundaries. Another thing that make people struggle with setting boundaries is lack of emotional intelligence of their own emotions. They are not aware of their own emotion. Yes, they are not aware of their own emotions. So how can you set boundaries on what you don't even know, you are not even aware of? So you need to know who you are. What is the limit? What is the extent to which you can take anything? What is your own limit? What is your own elastic limit? Like, if I get, this is my breaking point. Like, if I get to this point, I will flare up. So another reason why people struggle with setting boundaries is because they lie to themselves. How do you do that? Is they try to suppress their own emotion. They try to kill their own emotion. What do I mean? They don't talk. They don't voice out what they feel in their heart, in their mind. They don't voice it out. They just let it slide, let it slide, let it slide. But as you are letting it slide, it is sliding into somewhere in your mind. It's not living there, and it is keeping and piling up. A time will come when it will burst, when it will erupt, and by that time, there might not be, it might be too late. So, people lie to themselves. They suppress their own emotions, and that is why they struggle with setting boundaries. Learn to always speak out what you think. Let always say out your opinion. Anywhere you are, any relationship you are, any relationship you find yourself, and your opinion is not being considered, as in you are not even allowed to even say what you feel, it's a toxic relationship. If you can avoid it, avoid it. If you cannot avoid it, find the means of establishing your opinion politely. Don't make it an aggressive thing, but make the other person understand, the other people involved, make them find a way of making them understand that your opinion also counts. Yes, and because I may begin to give examples one after the other, but because our realities are different, and what I would not want to do is to give us an example that does not fit into giving example that doesn't fit into your reality, and you now try to apply that example, and it's now backfire. But as I'm saying this, we can all begin to like see it within the, like I said in the beginning, within the light, within the context of our own reality. Okay, so what can I do? This person doesn't respect me. Oh, I need to set boundary. How do I do it? Sometimes, in fact, sometimes setting boundaries requires you to help other people set their own boundaries. For you to set your own boundary, I mean, for other people to respect your boundary, it requires to help some people set their own boundaries too. Let me give you an example. I can give you an example of this one. In this line of profession that I find myself, I encounter a lot of people. I talk to a lot of people almost every day. Some people may just, some person may just come into my DM, start chatting me, and and I used to do this before. Like, if you just come to my DM, Assalamu alaikum, please, coach, I saw your number, so maybe on Facebook or somebody said, hey, I said I just want to discuss an issue with you, my son, this and that. Sometimes it may be about their personal life, sometimes about their children, and they can just come, and because of the kind of person I am, I'm an attentive person that always want to listen to people. So I'm like, okay, let go. Even if I'm in the middle of something, I just drop that thing and start, talking to that person and say, okay, this is what I think you should do. But later on, I realized that these people have taken advantage of this, and they just, come into my DM and just start. And I realized that I don't get a lot of things done. Things that I've set out to do for myself, I don't get them done because I am paying attention to other people's problems. So what I do is, after that realization, what I do is, so when you just come to me, said, okay, please, I'm in the middle of something now. Can you please reach out to me again? Maybe I can say, I'll just give the person a time. Can you please reach out to me again tomorrow morning by 8 a.m.? Then we can set the time to talk, or I can spare 30 minutes for discussion. What have I done? I achieved two things with that. I help that person to set a boundary, and I also set my boundary too. By what? By setting an appointment. No, you can't just come into people's DM and just start talking. No. What you should do, what is polite, or what is requested of you, is for you to ask, Assalamu alaikum, I'm this, I'm that. Oh. Please, when can you talk? I have something to discuss with you. That is the polite thing to do. So when can you talk, or when can I call you, or I have so, please, what advice can you give? I'll be expecting. And some people have this, but they just call you on WhatsApp call like that, just call you. No. So it's not too good. So sometimes, the point I'm trying to make is that sometimes you need to help other people set their own boundaries so that they can respect your own boundary too. So, and the point here, the gist here is that it's not everything you attend to. And to set boundaries, at times you should make yourself scarce. See, do you know why we don't value water? Despite the fact that our life is 70% water, it's because it's always available. The way you use water in the bathroom, in ablution center, when you are washing your dish, the way you use water is just, you use it as if it will never finish. It will never finish, despite the importance of water. Even Allah said, that the source of every living thing is from water. It's a verse in the Quran. It's our source. But despite that, we use water the way we just, we use it like, yeah, it's just there. Please, don't turn yourself to water for anybody. It's just, yes, just tell him. No. Sometimes you need to make yourself scarce to set your boundaries. Yes, you need to make yourself scarce to set your boundaries. I know of somebody who made a tough decision. Not talking about this Eid thing, because it's very close to us. So there's a lot of I can talk more about it. So I'm not saying you should go and do this. So this is an example. Again, I'm being careful with giving examples, but I just want to give this to pass a message. I'm not saying you should go and operate this example, hook, line, and sinker. But I know of this sister who made a tough decision not to follow her husband to his hometown for Eid this in a particular year. That no, I will not go this year. That's the decision she made. She realized that there is no how much she set boundaries. Those people still they break those boundaries, as in they break it like your mama boundary by. They are not polite. They don't have courtesy. Okay, don't worry. Tell Barry maybe ọdún méjì mẹ́ta. I think the next time you see me, yes, you respect me. And that is what she did. That year, that particular year, she faked it. Like I said, sometimes you need to pretend. It's not like you are lying, but because that is the only option you have. That is the only option you might have. So you want to pretend as if she's like she's not feeling well. And truly, is she feeling well? No. Just that the illness or sickness shabby is not something that anti-malaria can cure or paracetamol. It's an inner illness, psychological illness of some people disrespecting her and wanting to have a toxic relationship with her. So she made herself scarce. So sometimes this is also a thing you can do. However, don't make yourself scarce to opportunities. So I'm not talking about opportunities. So I'm talking about toxic relationship here. Now, let's move on to the third point before I give room for discussion or for question and comment and all that. The third subtopic is handling criticism and rejection. Handling criticism and rejection. Now, so there's something you need. There's one thing you need to handle criticism and rejection. And in fact, this is it's also within the scope of emotional intelligence. But then you require something again. Rationality. Rationality is when you are able to use your brain to analyze. So you can use two things. You can only use two things to think. You can use your brain to think or your heart. Do you know you can also use your heart to think? And that is why I say, my mind tells me, that your mind, it is the heart that was doing that function. In fact, scientists have proven it that our hearts, ọkàn, a lè fi ọkàn náà, a lè fi ronú. And surprisingly, or let me not say interestingly, there's a verse of the Quran where Allah points to that our heart also thinks. They also think. Allah was talking about some people. He now said, it is not their eyes that are blind, though, but the eyes. I want to remember how that verse came, but I mean the transition is that Allah said it is not their eyes that are blind. I mean those people he was talking about, but the eyes of the heart. So ọkàn wọn ló ti blind. I mean their hearts have been blind. If I get this verse, I wish to cite this verse the way it is. So, but what Allah is saying is that their hearts are blind, meaning that their hearts cannot think again. So you can think with your brain and with your. So when you want to handle criticism, that time you need your brain. You need to be able to separate the message from the emotion. When somebody is talking to you, criticizing you, you need to separate it. You need to, okay, is this person after my good or after my fall? If the person is trying to make you better, but to arrive at that conclusion, you need your brain, not your mind, not your heart, not your emotion. So because your emotion will just ride you, your emotion will drive you to thinking that criticism was maybe for other reasons. Even if it's for other reasons, but if you are logical, you can see some good in that criticism. The same thing with rejection. When anybody rejects you or rejects an offer you propose, or when anybody does anything that sounds like rejection, don't be emotional about it. Be logical. That is how you can handle it, and it will not trouble your mind. Maybe you ask for some money from somebody, maybe your uncle abroad. You ask for some money, and you know very well that this man is rich, he's loaded. But he rejected, he didn't give you the money. Or you asked for some amount of money, he gave you far, far lesser than what you asked for. Despite the fact that he is capable, and you know he is capable. Don't be emotional about it. Be logical. And one thing you should always do, please, if you have a pen, write it down. What you should always do, how you can be logical and not emotional about rejection, is that give people excuse. Always give people excuse. Or what we can, in other words, give people a benefit of doubt. Like, maybe. So think of excuses for that person. Maybe 3, 4, or 5 excuses. And that will dissolve whatever feeling, emotion that is developing in your mind against that person. Yes. I asked for 100,000. He gave me 20,000. Check our low emotion. But now logical. Okay, maybe as I asked them for 100,000, there are like 2, 3, 4, or 5 people that have also asked for the same amount of money, or even more than what I asked for, and he wants to satisfy all of us. So what he's trying to do is just to spread the amount he has among all other people. Or maybe he also has some issues that he cannot talk about. Maybe he has a loan that he has to repay, a loan he took for his business that he has to repay. The fact that he's riding a 20 million naira car doesn't mean that he's not in a loan, or he's not in debt, or he doesn't have his own mistakes. His own worries. So give people excuse. When you give them excuse, it dissolves any kind of ill feelings you may have based on the rejection you receive from them. So I would like to stop here so that I can give, because I can just continue talking on and on. But let me stop here so I can entertain questions or remarks before we close the before the my host closes the session, inshallah.
So this is the period where we would need to ask our questions to the facilitators. Please, let's bring in our questions. Let's bring in our questions. Let's bring in our questions. Are we there?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Let's start asking our questions. one by one.
Yes, I have a question.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Okay, in regards, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah, everyone. Okay, my question is about the area of boundary. When you said like a marriage, like if maybe one of the spouse, their boundary is not to check the phone, especially like the husband. Okay, my question is one, are we supposed to have that kind of boundary in a healthy marriage? Like, because I want to believe like marriage is a partnership, is a union, like the person, you are not supposed to hide anything. And if at all you be hiding anything in your marriage, I think then there's some kind of gaps in the marriage that is not healthy at all, because I want to believe anything you can't share with your spouse, then you shouldn't be doing that. And secondly, if you are now faced or you've been faced in a situation that you know that your spouse is the type that is promiscuous, and you've always been having issues back and forth, and the only way you get to know is through checking the person's phone, and then he's telling you, don't check my phone. How do you deal with that? Because one, your safety is at risk, and secondly, he has already created a kind of distrust in the marriage, such that you feel like, okay, the only way I have to monitor him is by checking his phone to know what he's up to. If he's making promise that I've stopped this lifestyle, and then you check his phone, you find that he's still in it. So if you don't check the phone, how then do you deal with situations like that? Assalamu alaikum.
Now, walaikum salam. Thank you for this question. It's a very technical one, but I'm going to answer it to the best of my understanding, inshallah. The first one is that this boundary, do we have that is that kind of boundary right? Where a husband asks his wife not to check his phone. Is that a boundary that should be upheld in marriages? Well, to some it may be right, to some it may not be. And like I said, marriage doesn't have like a prototype, that a fixed template to follow. It depends on the reality of each marriage. Now, if the husband chooses that one of my boundaries is don't check my phone, that's, in fact, what I want to say is that we need to look at the consequences of some actions. Yes, for a husband to say, don't check my phone, it may sound like, oh, he's keeping something. He doesn't want to tell me some things. He doesn't want to know some things. But sometimes it doesn't mean that the husband is promiscuous, or maybe it may be a kind of his own principle, even before marriage. It may be somebody that likes to keep his things hidden. And by the way, ma, it is not everything that a husband should tell a wife. Yes, it is not everything. It is not everything. Because there are some things that husbands will say, men will say, that in fact the woman may collapse. The woman may collapse or put herself in unnecessary problem just with that information, just by hearing that information. And when a husband keeps something, sometimes, for instance, men like to keep the details of their finances. Yes, real men keep details of their finances. And if your husband chooses not to tell you about his finance, that is his own boundary. You don't go there. And sometimes men do, because we have a lot of responsibilities on us. Now I'm talking as a man, I'm not emotional about it, I'm not sentimental, I'm just telling you the reality of a man. We do things, sometimes we do things based on our logical reasoning. For instance, let me give an instance. My wife is asking me for money, for some amount of money to buy maybe eat clothes and all that. But I have a mother to also give money to. I have some of my siblings too that I need to send some things to them. And so I did all this transaction. And of course, it's there on my phone. The messages are there, the credit alert, debit alert are there. And eventually my wife took my phone and started seeing all this money that I've sent out. While I was telling her to be patient, that I will give her, I will just be patient. Imagine what the woman will think. So okay, so I don't come first in his mind. So men, we are entangled in a lot of responsibilities that may require us to keep some things hidden. And this should not mean that men should now use this opportunity or this privilege to now maltreat the woman. No. But of course, men have a lot of secrets that they don't tell their wives. I guarantee you that. Even in relationships where you think that there's 100% trust. Yes, there are still some things that men don't say. That is just the nature of men. Please try to know, man. Then the second question about, okay, if we now find that a man is promiscuous and the only way to check or get evidence is by checking his phone, and he says, don't check my phone. Now, when it comes to evidence or getting, if there are other ways to do that, yes, by all means. If there are other ways to find out, if we realize that we just have to get an evidence to be able to take this up with our spouse, then one should follow other alternatives. If you have said, don't look into my messages, then let's respect that boundary. Sincerely. If you want Allah to expose him, Allah will expose him. Yes, Allah will expose him. You don't have to put yourself in the line of trouble just for you to get an information. Because that will only balloon the whole thing. And now the issue will now turn against the woman. It will not, remember, the society is already stereotyped to always blame women. Now the issue will not be about his own promiscuity again. It will be about the woman interfering in his privacy. Yes, and this is the word I was looking for when I was answering the first question, privacy. Some people are just very particular about their privacy. Haven't you seen houses whereby the husband has his room and the wife has her own room? Yes, they sleep together sometimes and sometimes they don't sleep together. Some men will build houses and leave a room for themselves. Like they just want to have a me time sometimes in a room where they can be all alone to do their own thing. Privacy. So we must understand this. There are some men that are wired like that. And it's not as if they are hiding anything or they are promiscuous or that is just who they are. And you should respect that. However, when this becomes toxic is when he doesn't respect your own boundaries too. That is when it becomes toxic and parasitic. He wants your own favor, your own support, your own submission, but he's not ready to even respect you. That is when it becomes toxic. And that is another issue entirely. So to get information, sometimes pray to Allah to expose him. Because yes, I understand the issue of safety, the issue of, yes, because a promiscuous husband can, bring on any disease and anything from outside. In fact, sometimes spiritual attacks and so on and so forth. So ask Allah to expose him so that he can repent. So you don't always put yourself in the line of trouble, in the line of danger. Let me put that way, just because you want to get that information or that evidence. Because if you do that, you check the phone, now you got the message. What next? What some women will do is to make a call or make calls, trying to call those people that they feel their husband is having promiscuous affair with. You're just complicating the issue. It doesn't have to go to that extent because that destroys it destroys marriages completely. But if you beg Allah, this man, I suspect he's doing this and that, Allah expose him so that he can repent. Then Allah will do that for you. I believe Allah will do that for you. So that is how best I can answer this question. if there are other, and this is based on my own experience and reality and understanding of issues like this in marriages, maybe some other people can have other answers to your question. But this is how best I can answer it. Wallahu alam.
Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh, sir.
Alaikum salam.
Jazakallah for the lecture. Barakallahu. My own question is talking about toxic relationship. What is the way out to a toxic relationship whereby the person that is doing that toxic relationship is like a parent to you? Let's say it's your parents. You know, you have lived with this parent for a lot of years, and they're usually, you know how our African parents are. They're usually, I'm sorry. They're usually one-sided.
They don't get to know for an answer.
So even as you are grown up as a wife, as an adult, and they're still and you know you cannot voice out. And that thing you cannot do it immediately. And when they find out, it's still that what is the way out about it? That is fun. The second one is when you for example in marriage relationship now. You know, they usually say that when a party is angry, the other party should be gentle, cool. Now, the women are usually meant to be gentle when the husband is angry. But women still get angry. So when a woman or a wife now gets angry, the husband is meant to be cool, but instead the husband now gets angry too, using anger to backfire anger, such that the woman will not even know, she should not even know what to do next. That husband, and what she's going to do. But she's still angry, and the issue is not certain. How can that be addressed, sir?
Yes, thank you for that question. Let me start with the second question. Where two parties are angry, the husband is angry, the wife is angry. So what should we do? And this answer is specifically for women. Yes, for the sisters, what you should do. Because as they say, two wrongs do not make a right. And you know, men are manipulative. Do you know? Men are manipulative. Yes, because men are very logical and they know how to toy with women's emotions. So now look at this, like you have painted. The wife is angry because the man did something or something happened. She was angry. Then because of that, the man too became angry. And now the anger of the man now supersedes that of the woman, which put the woman in an awkward situation because she was expecting the man to calm down and to calm her down. But now the man took offense and became even more angry than her. What should be done? Then I would suggest two things. The first is the woman should stop to be angry. She should try to pacify herself not to be angry. That is number one. Because she cannot, now the husband is angry. You cannot be angry. Two of you cannot be angry in the same. It will lead to chaos. So the woman should try to pacify herself not to be angry. And there are many ways to actually pacify yourself when you are angry. There are many ways. So if you're a Muslim, you see A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajim, or you perform ablution, or if you are inside, you go out. If you're outside, you come in. If you are standing, you sit. If you are sitting, you stand. These are some of the techniques, even in the Sunnah that Prophet Islam has advised us. You try to change your position, try to change your location. Okay, you are in the room, go to the kitchen. Like you want to go and cook or you want to go and do something in the kitchen. By that time that you change your position, you change your location, it helps you to restore calmness in you. And you're able to like a little bit calm yourself down, right? So the second thing you now do is to, after you calm yourself, is to watch out for when that man will also calm himself. Anger doesn't last long. Yes, you can't be angry now, right now. You can't be angry now and be angry forever. There will be a time you calm down. Yes, the woman should watch out for when the man also calms down. Then try to now settle the issue. Try to talk the issue out with the man so that it's resolved. So, and women, and for sisters, they have tools, they have a lot of tools in their hands. which although this session will not permit me to start talking about some of those things. But one of the tools is intimacy. Yes, men are well relaxed when they are vulnerable. When they are with you, they want to have a feel of you. They are calm with you. They are well relaxed at that time. Yes, you can settle some of these things at that time. I made mention of, I don't know if you attended last session. I made mention of something last week. When somebody asked the question about nagging and complaint, that what can you do to a marriage where what can I advise in a marriage where there's a lot of nagging? The husband nags all the time, or the wife nags, or there's nagging. Both of them just nags at one another. Then I answered, and this also applies to what I'm saying. The answer I gave last week was that what leads to nagging is when we are trying to correct ourselves right there and then. One of us did something that we feel is wrong, and the next thing to do is just to lash out at that person immediately. No, as a spouse, you don't do that. You don't start like correcting your, although it's not in all situations, but this is something that you should is the best practice. Don't try to correct that wrong at that time. It's very bad for some people to the extent that they even do that in public. So you don't try to correct it at that time. You wait for when that issue might have, when that thing might have been out of the, when that issue might have been out of, just what I'm saying, just wait for some time. Wait for some time. Maybe it happened in the morning. Wait till like around evening before you now, Omo Labaja, what you did in the morning, I feel it's not too good though. You now explain. And she now, okay, Allah forgive me. I don't know, it's not good like that. You understand? So now, in the situation whereby the wife is angry, the husband is angry, the wife should try to calm herself down and watch out for when the man is also calm, then talk out the issue. Now, for the first advice, when you are in a toxic relationship that's kind of toxic and it involves your parents, wow, this requires another session entirely to analyze this. However, it has to do with the specific reality. Your own personal reality. Because what is best for us to do is to submit to our parents, to love them, but there are some parents, yes, they can be toxic. Yes, because of their experience of the past and their own personality and the life they've lived before. So it has brought in a lot of negativities into their system, their attitude, their behavior. So what do you do? So what you do is, like I said, when a relationship is toxic, you set boundaries, right? And when you are setting these boundaries, I give us some key points if you have been jotting. One of them is learn to say no if it doesn't work for that person. The second is be polite. Be very polite. Yes, be very polite. In fact, show a lot of courtesy and respect, right? So if that doesn't work too, but that will work. But then you can also add helping them to set their own boundaries too. Yes, I mentioned it. For you to be successful in your own boundary, in setting up your own boundary, you may need to help other people set their own boundaries too. Like, okay, there's a time you can visit them. There's a time you can, and in fact, let me give you an example in the Quran. Do you know that in the Quran, it's fair to know, Quran 24, verse 50, I think around 55, 56 or 57, around that area, Allah talked about when a child can actually go into the room of his or her own parents, a child that is mature. When it can, not even, in fact, and when explaining this verse, some scholars say even from age 7 upward. Allah puts a limit to when they can enter the room of their parents, they can go to their parents. Like for instance, Allah mentioned 3 times. The first time is during Subhi time, early in the morning. The second is in the afternoon when the sun is at its peak. The third is at night after Isha. Those 3 times, a child should not just bump into the room of his or her parents. You should knock and seek permission before you go. So when they allow you to come in, there you go in. Allah help parents to set their boundaries. For them to be able to help their children to set boundaries too. Because Allah said the reason why He said we should not go into our parents' room at this time is because it is the time of nakedness for them. Subhi time, when they are just waking, they have few clothes on them. In the afternoon, when the sun is hot, they may want to take away some clothes and it will remain their underwears. And in the night too, when they want to sleep, they will be semi-nude. So that time a child should not go into his or her parents' room, maybe the father or the mother. He has to seek permission before he goes in. Look at the boundaries. Now, you may need to help your parents to set that boundaries too, so that they can respect your own boundaries as well. But for instance, you have a time you go to them, you have a time you call them, you have a time you discuss issues with them. There's some time that they want to discuss issues. Mommy, she can't discuss it. Maybe you realize that at that point, when they want to say that or when they want to discuss that issue, maybe they are angry or there are some mixed up. You feel, oh, this is not the better time because you are emotionally intelligent. Mommy, please, I quickly want to do something now. By that ale, the mama is calmed already. And she will be listening to you more than she wants to, more than she wants to say. So I just give this example. You can see how it fits into your reality to be able to relate with our parents. In the case of parents, it's even more very delicate. You shouldn't offend them, but at the same time, we must learn to be polite and also be able to set a safe boundaries around them that will not make us to transgress against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Jazakumullah khairan, sir.
Now, why?
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Alaikum salam to you.
Now, my first question is: a woman that has been like taking everything the husband chose to her, she hasn't set her boundaries from the beginning. Like, because she's a full housewife, she does not work. So the husband is the type that whenever he's angry, he abandons them without providing anything for them. So the woman has been taking all kinds of nonsense just because she doesn't want the children to be abandoned. And so, but now she's getting choked and she's actually looking for a way out. But then, is it not too late for her to set boundaries? And my second question is, in a situation whereby you've given this person room for doubts, you've talked to the person and all, but still that person didn't budge, how can we safely discard that relationship? Now,
the second question. So if you want to set yourself free from a toxic relationship, if you have the opportunity to do that, there's some relationship that you find yourself stuck in it and you just have to manage it. Maybe relationship with your parents, that kind of relationship. So you can't say, oh, I disown my parents. No, you can't discard it. So, but in the case where you have that privilege to discard the relationship and you want to move out of that toxic relationship, so what you do, I mentioned something in the course of my position is that sometimes you need to make yourself scarce, right? When you make yourself scarce, it sends a message to the other person that you're not ready for this kind of thing. So you make yourself scarce. Don't make yourself, I mentioned the analogy of water. And I advise that don't turn yourself to water that anybody can just use anyhow. We use water anyhow, despite the fact that water is so important in our life, but we use it anyhow because it's readily available. So making yourself scarce is a way to pull yourself out of a toxic relationship. But when you are not available for use, then the person might know that, okay, I think this person is not even interested. Or the person at best will look for another person to move on with another person. And the first question, sorry, I can't recollect the first question again. Can you remind me, please?
so I said, a woman that has been taking all things the husband chose at her just because she doesn't want her children to be abandoned and she's a full housewife not working, and the husband is someone that whenever she's angry, he just abandons them without caring for them until the anger
Okay.
subsides.
Okay.
So
Now I remember. Yes. Unfortunately, sometimes, Gaskia, all these things you are saying, hmm, unfortunately, because of the complexity of relationships, sometimes some of these advice and suggestions and recommendations may not work. And in this case that we are pointing out may be one of them. And that is why it is important to equip ourselves with this knowledge before moving far too deep into any relationship we find ourselves. Yes. So, because this woman has been taking all that was thrown at her, all this while in that relationship because of my children, and now she wants to start to set boundaries. Sometimes it may be late to start to now you want to set boundaries. It may be late. And in fact, in some cases, after the realization, when the woman realizes this and she cannot take it any longer, it sometimes leads to divorce. Like the woman just pull out of the marriage. Sometimes that is the solution. Although it is not what we recommend, it is not what we advise, but based on the specific situation of each person, she may feel I can't cope anymore. Yeah. So, but what she can do at best is to find a way, to find a way of to find a way for the husband to also be educated. After this, our own self-realization of the fact that she has been suppressing her opinion and she has been suppressing her emotions all these years, and now she cannot continue any longer. And she's ready to like manage this relationship and make it work. But the other person is not making it work because the other person too has been doing that for years. He has been abandoning them, come back again, abandon. When he's angry, he abandons. He has been doing it for years on and on. Nobody is checking him. Nobody is telling him anything different. Nobody is telling him to act otherwise. So what the woman should do after her own self-realization is to help that man. That man needs help. So she should get him to visit counselors, to be spoken to, or she'll find people that can talk to him. And the problem with that specifically is because the problem with that actually is that men have, we have ego. Men have egos and, we feel like kilobase of regular response. Are they coming back? Are they the one to tell me how to manage my home? We have this wrong mentality. Yes, they can tell you, Mr. Man. People can tell you how to run your home if you're not running it the right way. So, but when we have this, this ego and this pride, so it makes it difficult for men to get counseling. So, yes, this woman should find a way of helping the man, either by herself or by inviting somebody else. But in this case, she might not be able to help the man. Even though she has been able to help herself or she's on the path of helping herself, she might not be able to help the man. So she needs to bring in some people into that marriage. At some point in time, let me mention this. At some point in time, every marriage needs a third party. Forget the fact that, these are marriage, we don't need to bring a third party. It's a lie. It's a big lie. And if any man, if you are a single, if you are, if you are someone that is still, that is not yet married, and you have a proposal for a fiancé that is telling you this are marriage or no third party, just me and you, please run. It's a big lie. Why won't you have a third party in your marriage? So you mean both of you are perfect human beings that can live a perfect life all by yourself for years to come? It's a big lie. So every marriage at a point in time needs a third party. If you have been managing yourself from the beginning, there will be a time whereby that you will just, both of you will lose it, because the reality is that marriage fades, that feeling, that happiness, that joy that starts a marriage, as time goes by, it fades away, and you always have to work and renew that love for you to sustain your marriage. In fact, psychologists made us understand that this You know, when you are on the proposal stage, you have a fiancé and you're about to get married. You know, there's this butterfly that flies about in your in your tummy, and you know, so with time, the emotion there is romance. That emotion is romance, right? The emotion you are feeling that time is romance. You just want to be with that person. You want to, keep in touch with that person, physically be connected with that person, and all that. Psychologists say that romance, in any relationship, can only last for a year or thereabouts. Yes, romance can only last for a year. So, and that is why you see that marriages that will not last, the problem will start in the first year, or at most after the first year. Because by that time, that feeling of love and romance has faded away. Our psychology, as human beings, our brain cannot handle romance for long. So at best, at most 1 year. That is why you always have to renew your relationship, how to rekindle the fire of the relationship, spice it up, do things that you've not been doing before, do a lot of things, do this, do that, to make it continue, to sustain it. So this woman definitely needs a third party in her marriage. But who is that third party? That is what she should determine by herself. Is he a counselor? Is he a sheikh? Is he somebody that can talk to the husband, that can talk sense into that man? Right? So if she can find that kind of person, then I think it will help her in that marriage. But setting boundaries and wanting to correct the whole thing all by herself, it should not work. The man will resist, definitely resist. It will not work. So that is what I can advise.
Exactly, your correct answer.
I think it's almost now. Our moderator, please check the time for us before we proceed. Maybe all other questions should be sent to the group.
Mama, Mama, pẹ̀lú náà.
As regards to the experience that the face is the marriage, and the marriage that happens in this, if any of them, if you don't go for either premarital counseling or something, then always like probably how to manage their emotions, themselves, or how to manage their conflict. It's very, very difficult. Even those that went to premarital counseling, they have challenges. Let's talk about it that they even do. But that being said, I want to use this opportunity to say just a couple of parents, our facilitator, brother Abdulfattah. We want to, I really appreciate you for responding to our call today, for taking your time out to explain in detail what it is to have emotional in our relationship. I want to pray to Almighty Allah that Almighty Allah continue to bless you in knowledge, to continue to be with you, and continue to guide you. Amen. Having said all of that, I think we can end the session at this point now. So the recordings will be uploaded and we can revisit, because it's important that we revisit this class. For those that want to remember so many things, watch this session again before you travel for your layout. Just like I tell everyone.